But anyway.
All right, moving on. Something else happened in Nigeria recently that I want to touch on. The Okada ban. Wale, can you kind of
the ban on motorcycles?
Yeah.
Lagos
Can you
State
kind of give us a
government,
breakdown? So Sanwo-Olu passed
so
a new law banning Okada.
Corey, for those who don't know,
Yes.
Okada it's just a term for motorcycles that transport people.
Oh wait, it's not the name of a bike?
No, it's just a.
It's just a term.
It's just a term.
Yes,
yeah.
it's a mode of transportation.
So I don't know how it got into, but at one point in Nigeria, when people started flooding in from other countries, neighboring countries, and from the north also, it just became a thing where they had this motorcycles and they started to use it to transport people for cheap. One or two people, whatever, transport for cheap from point A to point B, and then it just became a huge thing, and it flooded everywhere. Like there's a lot of motorcycles, and you see it in other countries like Indonesia and Asian countries too. Happens, and this little tricycles too that are like 3 people, 3 wheels. But the problem is, truthfully, especially in like a city like Lagos and everything, they're a nuisance to deal with, where they're not safe. They don't follow safety rules. They drive recklessly, and I don't care if you're doing that, but when you have people, passengers, you got to have their life involved, and even driving on the road is hard because you just have these bikes coming in numbers, maneuvering, and it's a nuisance to deal with. And Lagos State government has said, Lagos is like the most popular city in probably in Africa, if in Nigeria, probably in Africa, and like everyone, Cardi and everybody that goes to Nigeria is always Lagos. That's like our New York, if I can put it that way. And the governor is like, well, he wants to make the visions he has for the state. He can't have this Okadas in them on certain roads and avenues and places like that. I don't think it's all over the states, but I think there's a certain, like there's a bridge, Third Mainland Bridge, you can't be crossing to, and to be honest, you can't be. It's dangerous. If you do follow it, a lot of people die and have accidents. People don't wear helmets, and these people use this Okadas to transport anything. Any and everything. You're going to see 5 people on one. It's like, how do you guys
transport goods?
They transport any and everything. Wait.
Yes.
So obviously he felt, and he's not the first governor actually. Almost every governor in the last few years in Lagos has actually put a ban on them at some point. They become more and more. They cause traffic, and he has his reasoning. Now, the alternate mode of transportations are the downfalls, and then there are the BRT buses in Lagos, and they're adding more buses. They're adding ferries. Lagos, there's train now. This is federal government now has trains that go from like Lagos to Ibadan. That's by the way, but I feel like they're putting an effort in. What the problem that people have is the immediate impact,
right?
Which is you've taken jobs away from so many people.
Right.
Well, to be honest, these jobs were. It's kind of something that they let happen. Just same with when they demolish stores, and like people had started building stores and houses that were encroaching on highways, rail tracks.
But who approved them though?
That's the problem. So you see, here's where we Nigerians need to think about. When we want a better country, we've let that country run riot so much.
It's that drastic, exactly.
You can't change it. Drastic changes have to be taken. You can't really ease into some changes, because like now you have people like the tracks. Now you want to refurbish. I want train moving from one state to another state, but on the tracks you have people that have stores and stuff like that. Only way you can really do that is demolish them.
Yeah,
but then
because you need it. That's the problem. But what do you do? So do you then say, well, you guys, unfortunately, we want to put tracks here, but we can't demolish you guys.
Can we give them time?
They give them time. They do give these people time. They do let them know, and they do ignore it. Now, the people ignore this. They let people know. They send out like, we got to demolish this. We have to do this, and they do it. And unfortunately, like I said, the country has been run so riot that anything goes and things like. So now when you have someone who's trying to do stuff in government, it starts to affect people. And the alternative is provide something for them.
Right.
Yes,
what is that something? You have like 1 million Okada riders. What are you going to provide for them? How many buses can you give them to say, okay, you're an Okada driver, be a bus driver? You can't have 1 million buses. So what else do you do?
Provide jobs.
What jobs do you provide? How do you provide jobs?
I don't know, but
exactly. So
but you know that the more people that are jobless, their crime is going to go up.
But that's a bullshit excuse because why do you have to go into crime next? The same way you found
because you're left with no options.
Okay, so we say you go into crime, you're left with no options. But this job you were doing, first of all, you can't. It's not a job it's not a career. An Okada rider doesn't make a lot of money.
But those people that are suffering,
but
they're able to supplement.
Okay, fine. But can I now say? So what do we then do? You go to Lagos now. We spoke about tourism. We spoke about foreigners. This is some of the things that affect the way the livelihood is in the city. So we sit here and say, hey, you guys, we want Nigeria to be better. We want Lagos to be better. We want this to be better. I used to say that one of the hardest things I might ever want to do in my life, even though my Instagram has for president in there, I might never want to be a president of Nigeria or hold office because it's one of the hardest things to do because you come with ideas to say, all right, man, we're ready to move forward. Everyone's going to shut it down. No, what about? But the same people are the same people that when the Okadas are driving, you guys are the same guys who come and tweet online and say this is a nuisances.
They cause accidents.
And they do cause accidents. I've seen them transport any and everything.
I'm glad you tied it to the tourism thing because you're right. If we are going to build some kind of tourism industry,
we need those are some of the things we need. So
safety on our roads.
I have a question.
Yes.
So these drivers, what's the difference between them and like Postmates here? Are they similar?
What are Postmates, please?
Postmate deliveries.
Like the delivery service.
No.
So they have dispatchers. They have people. So they all right. So here's what happened. So these guys are unregulated. They're just motorcycle riders, people that just were able to. Some people were even making money from it, where they would buy motorcycles in bulk and then lease them out.
Dispatch.
Is it like a taxi service?
Yeah,
this is not even you just hail them. You just hail them. You just see them on the street and just flag them down. Yeah. Okay, now somebody recently decided to start one called O-Ride, which is the Uber version of this. And he has stricter rules where the company has stricter rules where they have uniforms, they have branded motorcycles, they have helmets. For passengers, they're coming up with a stricter rule. Now, I'm not really sure. Even with that, too, sometimes people don't want to put on the helmet because, like, how many people have put on this helmet? It's nasty, So then you're riding without safety, So it's like it's really it's something where you can't deal. But they try to do that and they try to make it like a ride share thing. You pull it on your phone, it comes up and stuff like that. That's a private person doing that.
Also, a lot of just in general, a lot of people don't wear helmets when they ride motorcycles.
Yeah, which
they have other ways of I don't know.
But as a passenger, what would you as a rider? If I own a bike, I'm padded up.
I've been on a bike and I haven't had anything.
Yes,
because sometimes it's uncomfortable.
It is.
Ride bikes.
No, I was on the back.
But
of one, I'm just saying that I've been on a motorcycle without a helmet. It is dangerous because you have this rate of speed that you're going. But if you're just trying to get from point A to point B, most people may not mind.
But think about the liability. But think about the liability as a company.
You want a helmet?
Yeah, I understand that. But think about the liability as a company that transports. If this is what you do and you transport people from A to B.
In there.
But yes, you can. I think OPay is fine. All right, whatever they do. Yeah. I think that's fine. It's regulated. You know who the riders are and stuff like that. But even them, they're on hold right now. So I think the only people that are able to move, they're dispatchers. And dispatchers are like the delivery guys. Because sometimes it's easier to move around with a bike. So the delivery companies, DHL, UPS, and other private Jumia, all these people, they have dispatchers, they have bikes, they put their stuff at the back of the bike. Those guys are still able to go. But the problem is, I think this is what the government wants to do. I don't think they're going to ban them completely. I think they want to regulate them. But you see, Nigerians are very stubborn people where sometimes you have to go the extreme way first to then pull them back in. Because I'm sure they have tried to regulate this before. And it's unregulated. So now it's like, all right, we have a situation where we've stopped you guys. Now, maybe we're going to bring you guys back in a regulated manner where, okay, you guys register, you're liable to a company. It's because right now it's free for all.
Yeah, it'll be good if there's if they have some kind of opportunity.
Trust me, I drove in Lagos this Christmas. I hated it.
Yeah.
Because of these guys.
But I think we can make it work. Like, so I went to Thailand, right?
Yeah.
And their streets are littered with these motorcycles, these scooters.
All
over the place. Yeah. But you have to, like, they have laws. You have to wear a helmet. There's like certain things that you can't do. Like, you can't just be sitting in the middle of the road. Like, you have to be on the side.
Yeah.
So I think that there's ways that we can accommodate.
Yes, there are ways we can accommodate them. Yeah,
but you're right. Maybe we need to first put a stop to it and figure
then
out how to slowly.
And they've been telling them these things for years. They didn't just wake up and say, "Hey." They've been trying to regulate.
You're right. It wasn't
They
regulated.
can ticket them or something, or give them a fine.
You guys
or
are talking
something.
about like you're in America. Where do you give a fine in Nigeria to? Who's liable for that fine? In the States right now, you pull my car over.
Yeah.
You have my registration. You give me a fine. I'm liable to it. It's tagged to my driver's license. If I don't pay for it, when they give you a speeding ticket, for instance, it's tied to the car.
Yeah.
They give you flags.
Right.
When the flags reach to a certain number, a cop sees your tag, runs
They
it,
can
takes your
suspend
tag, suspend your tag, tow your car. We can't do that in Nigeria. The cops don't even have the technology yet to pull you over and run your tags on the spot. So how do they know you have flags? One. You understand? Now with the if you get pulled over by police and actually get a physical ticket to your license, you can get a license suspended. Same thing. We don't have a database yet. So how do you get away with that?
There's a lot of things that we don't have.
We don't have addresses are fake. We don't know who lives where. We don't know. So a lot of these things were allowed to happen. Just like with the driver's license, for instance. There were a lot of fake driver's license in Nigeria. Even people who people just paid for them. People didn't. I had a license before. I didn't do anything. I just paid for it.
So but part of the problem.
I was. You get. But the government then decided, hey, we don't even have a database of people. So they started with the SIM card registration.
Yeah.
Everybody needed to go register their SIM cards, so we can have because they realized that they don't have a database of who is in the country. Yeah. So you register a SIM card with the fingerprint, and your name is tied to a SIM card. Then the banks did theirs also, BVN.
Yeah.
To get a bank account, because everybody has a bank account, go register, blah, blah, blah. Driver's license today forced people. You got to get a driver's license. If you don't get it by this date, you're going to be pulled over and you can't drive. Yeah. These are the things we have to do. So it's one of the
I
things,
sympathize with the people that have lost their modes of income.
I do.
But I think in order for improvement to happen, sometimes we need to, you know how they say you need to have like growing pains. And I think this is one of those growing pains.
But that's easy for you to say. You're here with a
I
job.
know. That's why I said.
Yes,
that's why I said I sympathize.
It's also easy for us to say, well, we need a better Nigeria. Well,
you know what I'm saying.
Someone who's trying to give us a better Nigeria.
So I'm not going to come at Sanwo-Olu
or the government or whatever
for trying to do something. But